Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Building Greatness the Warrior Way, a Westcliff University athletics podcast. I am your host, Chase Dodge. I am the Sports Information Director here at Westcliff University, and I'm here to take you through the week that was and the week that will be in Westcliff athletics. Let's not waste a moment and let's get into it.
All right, Warriors, welcome back to a special podcast with a very special guest. Hope you guys' summer has been going well, because you know what? We're back in action. Fall season is right upon us, and I'm joined today with our head women's soccer coach, Jack Gidney. Jack, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling?
Yeah, thanks, Chase. Thank you for having me. Feeling good. First game tomorrow, so the day sneaks up on you. You talk about it for months and months. And, I said to Kent this morning, I can't believe it's here tomorrow. So, we're in good shape.
I know. I mean, it seemed like the summer kind of just went by, and now our season is upon us. And it's just like, I'm excited because, and let's just get into it. Going from the past season where you were part of the coaching staff for last season, and it's going to be like this. The team was riddled with injuries, and at one point, our women's soccer team played a game with only 11 players, and our backup goalkeeper found herself as a field player, and so it was this. We were excited for this season coming up when our team is fully healthy, where they can get after it. Jack, I want to know your how was the preparation for this season, for your eventual scrimmage tomorrow, and for the season as a whole? What have you implemented to the program this is your first year as a head coach for Westcliff Warriors?
I think a lot of it started in the spring. We laid really, really good foundations in the spring. We had the whole new staff came in. It's very balanced. As much as I'd like to come in and say it's me, it's not. It's very much a collective. We handed some of the leadership of the team back over to the players, and we established a players committee of leaders, and they work very closely with the staff members, and we get things right as a collective. We instilled some disciplines, some standards, some routines, and then just started to introduce the way we wanted to play to those that were with us in the spring. And we had some great spring results, played some really good stuff. The mood was starting to feel good, and you could feel the early signs of it. And then through the contacts of myself and the rest of the staff who've been in the game in the state for a long time, we've managed to bring in some very, very high level players who've been around. The girls kind of call us the Misfits, because everybody's kind of come from here, there, and everywhere, and out of retirement. And, I guess, as a coaching staff, we're talking today, maybe we're the Misfits as well. So there's kind of this collective that we're here. We feel good. We feel like something big is happening. We're feeling part of something. So the mood's been great. The culture's been good. And we're just building on that as we add new bodies, really.
And going on with that about new bodies, Can you give us a glimpse into who are potentially could be our standout players who are new to the squad, who are either incoming transfers or even some underclassmen? Who do you think for right now is a kind of you believe is going to break out into the Westcliff athletics scene for all the programs that are like, oh, hey, who's this individual?
Yeah, I think, look, Ale Ramirez is she's somebody you notice straight away. She's a center back, 2-footed. She's played with the Mexican under-20 national team. She was a D1 commit. She's somebody that you notice immediately. So we're very excited to have her with us. Angelina Espinal has transferred from San Diego State. She was a top 50 player in the country and a high school All-American. And so we feel very fortunate to have her. Sabel Rojas has come to us from Seattle University. She was a D1 player, and in her freshman year at Seattle, she started as the lone center forward actually against Stanford. So that kind of level of player and experience will help us in the high level games. But there's a little bit more than that. They've got to feel good in the environment and adjust. And, there are players who have caught us by surprise already, and they're blending in very well. But certainly ability wise, those are the three off the top of my head that if it wasn't for certain members of my staff, I think we would have found hard to get. But they're with us, they're part of us, and we're hoping that they're joining the group well and blending in and feeling comfortable, as we do with all the players. And if they feel good, they'll play good.
And going back to, so with those newcomers, and I'm excited to see them out on the pitch to kind of see how well they perform as well. This is probably the first squad in a while that we actually have a sense of veteran presence by some players that were here last year who competed in the first ever CalPAC conference for women's soccer. I just want to get into who is your standout for who are like the top veterans who are setting the tone for the culture within the team, and who's kind of getting into that kind of leadership position to kind of help move Westcliff soccer to where they need to be for this upcoming season.
Yeah, our leadership group of returners is very good. We have Ashley Sanchez, who's one of our captains. She's an older head. She's been around. She's a good communicator. She helps us immensely. Even with the staff, she's a huge help. Christine Thorvaldsen, she was here last year, and she's been here a little while, and she's starting to take on her leadership, and she's an incredible athlete and really leads by example with her work rate. The rest of our leadership consists of Maria Mendez, Maru Mabola, Ellie Taylor, and Albie. And they're just players who, they all have slightly different personalities, and they all bring a little something. But as a collective, they're incredibly influential in our group. And it gives everybody a voice where they're comfortable to go to somebody so we can resolve any problems or prevent any problems before they become bigger than they are. There are some players who I think will take on bigger roles this year on the field. Sierra Rangel, she's a transfer who came to us from Biola via El Camino. She brings a little bit of experience and an older head, but the spring was her first time for us. And so now she's coming back in the fall as a bit more settled in. Same with Sophie Fegering, who's come from Robert Morris. Taya up front, I mean, she had a great first season, and now she's coming back as a sophomore. And I think seeing her kind of adjusted position in the team and the team being built around her, we're expecting very, very big things for her. We have very high expectations we put on her. So there's a lot actually, really, when you start to go through it. And I'm no doubt I'm missing people off that I'll probably hear about another day. But
I know with like your players tuning into the podcast, you're like, come on, coach, like how can you be forgetting about me? But listen,
my phone's going to be going off. But honestly, Chase, like the thing that we're blessed with this year, and I've continued to say it from the start, is we have so much depth that we can afford to rotate the team a little bit and use the bodies effectively and manage our way through the season. I'm in a very, very fortunate position.
And you know what? And that's the one thing I noticed from when you were first announced for being the head coach for the women's soccer program. The one thing I found out from Brandon, from when he posted all the incoming recruits and everything like that, is that you, at least from what I can tell, there wasn't going to be a repeat of last season where, due to injury or outside circumstances, that we will only have 11 players. For everyone tuning in and listening in, for a good portion of our season last year, we only had either 11 to 13 players that either one were healthy enough to enter in some games, and that was in our conference season. And so from what we were saying about how you have a lot of people on the roster and Warriors on the women's soccer team, if you're tuning in, I'm super excited because that's the one thing I noticed being on the scores table is like and with those only 11 players that played, they played very well, but it's just part of like they're playing 90 minutes and
and twice in 3 days. It's a lot.
And twice in 3 days, and that takes a toll. And and then other teams with substitution power were able to take advantage, but also credit where credit's due. Last year's squad, I don't know, Jack, if you knew this or not, but we were only one game away from making postseason with only having 11 to 13 players on the team.
Yeah.
And that
I'm with a goalkeeper on the field.
With our backup goalkeeper on the field. And so that's why I'm even more excited for this season, because last season, and with the returners, with Albie, with Christine, and all the other ones mentioned that were there, they know now of like they were so close, and that now they're like, we're like, you know what, we can do this. We can go to the conference tournament and make some noise there. And so I'm excited for that. And also, I just want to touch base, Coach, from previous seasons. So on our women's soccer team, you have the toughest schedule out of all 3 years that we've had women's soccer. Can you take us your mindset of setting up this preseason schedule and who you wanted to play, and kind of the reasoning why you wanted to play who you wanted to play?
A lot of it is just the nature of myself and the staff. That's who we are. There's a sense of fulfillment that you get by taking on a bigger challenge and being successful, or competing at a bigger challenge, than perhaps playing a more favorable schedule and winning. That sort of sense of instillment and kind of siege mentality you don't get by just rolling teams over. A lot of it also as well is to do with the recruits. A lot of our recruits have good reputations and are known, certainly our domestic recruits. And I can't tell you how often I've been called by a much bigger school asking me, how did you get so-and-so? And how have you got so-and-so? And how have you got so-and-so? So we are aware that collectively there is a little bit of conversation about us from wherever that may be in the shadows. And so when that happens, you've got to kind of, you either shy away from it or you go out and face it. So we figure, let's go out there and see what we can do. And, if our preseason is tougher than our conference, then great, that stands us in good stead for the conference. But, there's no easy games. There's so much involved in this. But if we can try and be battle ready early and then peak at the right time, then we're quietly confident about our chances here.
And rightfully so. And I tell coaches all the time that either have gone from the junior college level or from high school or club, even if you're playing a conference opponent who historically might have not won a couple of games against you or overall as a program, does not mean that's a day off in any sense of the word. Because I have been around for a while in the NEI, and I've noticed teams that may go through their season 3-12 or something like that, but sometimes they can show up to a game and punch you in the mouth when you're not paying attention for it. And that's why at Westcliff and all of our coaches do a phenomenal job of creating a hard preseason going into conference. And the prime example, at least for me, that's always on the top of my head is our women's basketball program, where their overall record was 14-12. And just by looking at that, you're like, okay, they had a good year and stuff like that. But then you go to the right and you see their conference record, and they went 10-2 in conference. And you're like, oh, who did they play in the preseason? And it's a bunch of D1s, a bunch of top dogs in the NAI. And so, and that's why I was really happy to see with you, Jack, when you put on the schedule that we're facing Hope International, the Masters, and Westmont College. Those are 3 programs in California that have had great years for women's soccer, especially Westmont, who our preseason coaches poll just got released on Wednesday, and Westmont was ranked number 8 in the nation. That will be the toughest opponent for this team. But then going into conference at the end of the season, we'll be facing number 25, Embry-Riddle. Now, Coach, who, in your opinion, is going to be the toughest matches for this team headed into conference?
As far as conference games or preseason games?
I mean, we can talk about both, but let's go preseason and then conference.
Yeah, so preseason's tough because the biggest thing for us is so many new bodies. And so preseason is tough because you want to take the games as minutes in the bank to get the system and the shape and the manipulation of positional play and all of that on page. And so that takes time. So at this early stage, I don't think there are any easy preseason games. I think they're all incredibly tough, and I think each one gets a little easier. Obviously, Westmont being a top 10 school in the nation, that's the one that stands out. As far as the conference is concerned, Embry-Riddle's always a tough game. They're always up there. St. Catherine's is always a tough game. Last year was a tough one, particularly down there. It was in the middle of the day, hot day, and we were low on bodies. It was a tough one. Merced's coming off a good season. So there are 3 or 4 that you're looking at, and they stand out as they're coming off a very good year. They're not comfortable or used to losing games. And so those are the teams you always worry about, because if you go at those, usually they don't react too well to you coming at them. So certainly the ones who won their pods last year and you're coming in, and away games as well, they're tough. The travel and being on the road takes a toll emotionally off the field. So there's a handful that stand out. Again, like I said before, it's about us as a staff being able to use the squad, managing the emotions, managing the body, hoping that the depth that we've brought with us is used correctly, finding the right fits and partnerships, and just gradually build momentum as the year goes on and peak for when the playoffs come.
And you mentioned earlier about the pod structure. So what I'm excited for, and what I was very vocal about, is that the CalPAC is now no longer having the pod system. Right now, it's just a straight structure. Everyone plays each other once, and then boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seeding make the postseason. And I'm really excited about that, because what that means is that you're only playing each school one time. So instead of last year where we played St. Catherine, Park Gilbert, Embry-Riddle twice, now it's like we will only see them once on that schedule. So that game one means more in terms of standings in the conference, but also it just allows this team to play more of the conference members. And also finally is that we could potentially have there are 2 champions in the CalPAC. You have the regular season and then the conference tournament champions. So there's 2 championships up for grabs in the conference that now as a team, you guys are looking at let's just grab one. Let's make some noise. And that's what I'm most excited for, is seeing the gelling of the programs. Of the returners and the new players. That's what I'm most excited for, is seeing them out on the field and kind of doing what they need to do to get done. I'm very excited, Jack. Yeah, I don't know if you are.
Yeah, you get there's always going to be, when you separate the conferences into different pods, there's always going to be people looking over the fence. Well, that pod is this, and that pod's harder, and this pod is, and now there's none of that.
None.
It's a straight league. We play everyone, and the champion's a champion. If you're the best, you're the best. You've got to beat everyone. Personally, I like that. I don't like the dispute. So, well, you never did this. And now it's the way it is. You go out, you beat everyone. And if you beat everyone, then you've earned the right to call yourself the best.
I totally agree. I mean, that was one of the things, is just the kind of like, if someone has a regular, we were separating the 3 pods, and pod A, they had the best record, but they didn't play, their pod I'm going to be honest, wasn't as strong as certain other ones.
Mhm.
So with this new structure, it's like, you know what? Everyone plays each other once, and whoever sits at the top deserve it. There's no question in anybody's mind that they're number one.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope we'll see Westcliff near the top and start making some noise. I don't know about you, Jack. I know we're
Oh,
talking
we
about.
hope so, mate. That's what we're
I
talking
know.
about. But
I mean,
we got a lot of work to do.
you do got a lot of work to do, but as I mentioned earlier before, the hard preseason helps set you up for what you need to do, what you need to change, personnel, and also it lets the athletes and the players know that they had the toughest preseason to set them up for the conference. When you're playing, your first official game is Hope International, who is receiving votes for national recognition. So unofficially, they're top 30 in the nation. And then a couple weeks later, you're playing number 8 Westmont. If those games go relatively well for you guys, that is high momentum going into conference, where you're placing your first matchup for conference is UC Merced, like we mentioned earlier, is coming off a great year. So all of it is set up to kind of help the players for overall as a season. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And look, we hope we can deliver on it.
Yeah.
Talked about it a lot for so long now. And, like I said before, you forget that it's coming. And even tomorrow, we're having our first scrimmage together against a Division II opponent in the CCAA, and it's straight in at the deep end. So sink or swim time.
Absolutely. Where's now let's take we're going to take a side step because we're talking a lot about the season overall, but I kind of want to know a little bit more about you, Jack, as a head coach. So how long have you been coaching soccer, either abroad or in the States?
So I took my first coaching job when I was 17, which I'm 34 now. So my players at club like to remind me that's 50% of my life already. I don't like doing the math on that, but that's where I'm at. So I've been doing it for a very long time, mostly in the women's game, in a couple of different countries, back at home and here. I've coached club, college, WPSL. I've done some stuff with some professional environments in the UK. I've done a little bit of everything, really.
That's awesome. And so I just wanted to know a little bit more about you because, we're excited to have you. This is your first year at the helm of the women's soccer program. And I can already tell just by the multiple conversations I've had with you, from what I've seen from either social media, from articles, that it's shaping up to be even more exciting than last year. And even in our first year as a program. So we're very happy to have you, and we're excited to see what you do this season.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's very much a collective with my staff. I have an incredible staff. Paige Brandt is a former Division I goalkeeper, and she's an excellent goalkeeping coach, and she does a lot of our fitness work. Francesca Escobedo is returning again to the program, thank goodness, because her influence upon the team is immeasurable. Matt Ferrin has come in. He's another one who I've coached with for a very long time, works at the high level in the women's game, and his ability to network and recruit through players and top talent is second to none. And Ty Martin, we're very grateful to have him back. His expertise and knowledge with the school, his help with the academics, his help with technology, and to be able to provide us with extra resources for coaching and player development. I'm very, very blessed to have them. And the collective unit all works seamlessly. As much as I'm going to stand up here and I'll sit here on the podcast and take the credit for it, it would be wrong to say it's just me. It's very much a collective effort. I'm very, very blessed to work with, and I say this regularly. It's the best staff in the nation. There's not a better staff. They are a phenomenal coaching staff to work with and get up with. And, for me to drive down to Irvine every day from Redondo Beach, it makes it worthwhile. And
you know what? And you touched on it perfectly. That it's you're collectively working as a team. That's what it is. When a team wins or lose, you lose as a group. There's no one person doing all the work. We mentioned all the returners, all the newcomers. We've listed probably 25 of them or something. It felt like that every single one of them has a role to help out the team succeed. There's not one person that is taking the full load or the in the entire spotlight. And that's what that's why I love, and I'm gonna take a little bit personal. That's why I love soccer. I'm part of a soccer family. My dad has been coaching for years. My sister just was a NEI collegiate athlete as well.
Coached against him many times.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, a lot of coaches in the area have coached against him. I've heard a lot of stories about it, but that's what. And going on, it's just like that's why I love soccer the most, is because it's an exciting game to watch, and I've always been annoyed that people here in the U.S. aren't really grasping the excitement of it. But that's what I love about the sport, is that it's a collective team effort. There's more individuals out on the field than any other. It's a lot more fluid game. And also, if you're the number one team in the nation, in the league, or whatever the case may be, it does not matter, because the worst team in the league could beat you. I don't think that normally happens in other sports.
No, and I'll build on it a little bit as somebody who's obviously not originally from here and has moved here. A lot of the more traditional American sports, they're quite coach centric. You know, you can have a timeout and a coach can step in and intervene and save the day, right?
Right.
And not to diminish my own or my staff's value with the soccer team, but there's no timeouts.
No.
So your work is done on the training field and in the classroom, and the game is the test at the end of the chapter. And so there has to be an element of trust that you put into the team to perform. And there's only so much you can do from the sideline. So it's very much a player's game. It's over to them. And so as much as I love doing the training and the sessions and all that kind of stuff, those Monday to Fridays in the morning at Great Park, they're for us as a staff, but the games, they're for the players. They're for them to go and express themselves and show themselves and all that kind of stuff. So it's a truly wonderful game to be a part of, and it's given me a lot.
I mean, and I 100% agree. I've grown up watching soccer, and the only time like a coach can actually take the group together as a unit and talk to them is in the before the game starts, at halftime, and then after the game. But that after the game doesn't even matter, because the end result, the end result is what it is. And so it's the pregame and halftime, which is why the practice sessions are so crucial to kind of help teach the athletes about what the game plan is, what you guys need to expect. And because I've been on that sideline where I'm hearing a coach try and like yell or project to an athlete that can't hear them because they're on the other side of the field 50 odd yards away. And other sports, the game is moving so quickly that you'll be saying one sentence about whatever the case may be, like for you to set up an offensive, and then all of a sudden they lose the ball and it's headed back the other way, and you're just like, well, that was a waste of a sentence.
The transition moments, they're so hard.
They're so hard, but also that's why I love watching soccer, because then you get to see some kind of the brilliance from the players' perspective, because they see the game differently. Like everyone's moving, where one player could see something that I don't see on the sideline and just send a through ball into the gap, and all of a sudden set up a goal scoring opportunity that a second ago I was thinking, oh, they're just at midfield, nothing's happening. And all of a sudden excitement just came up, and you're just like, how did they see that? Like, so that's why I'm a huge soccer fan, just because like there's never a dull moment in soccer, even though like the number one critique I hear from my friends is like, oh, the end score was like 1-0. I was like, yeah, but you didn't watch the game.
Yeah, but it was action packed.
It was action packed. Like, and that's what I tell them all the time. I'm like, you just need to turn it on, because you're on the edge of the seat, because you know that the end result may be 1-0 or 2-0. That's why the goals actually have a bigger impact in the game, because then it's not like basketball where they're scoring every like half second.
Mhm.
Like you might go 90 minutes and not see a goal, but you see a lot of goal scoring opportunities that are on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, you see the players picking the locks and solving the problems, and it's a live puzzle.
It really is. And that's what I'm excited for this year, to see this new batch of players, to see what they can bring to the program as a whole, and actually on the field, and how well they can shake up this season.
Well, we hope to do that, and look, we hope to be able to go out and win every game. That's
Right.
obviously our intention, but we also want people to leave and think that was fun watching them, and that
Absolutely.
is some team. Whether we win everything or we win nothing, we hope that when people leave the game, they leave with a smile on their face and want to come back, because we are such a great team to be around.
And everyone tuning in, if you're not a Warrior fan, glad to have you on this podcast, because you will be soon enough. Because I can say from personal experience that every sport here at Westcliff, every game is really fun to watch. I might be biased, of course, but those games are always action-packed, always high intensity. All of our athletes give 110% every single game, where at the end of the day, even the result, whatever the case may be, you're leaving that venue going like, wow, that was fun to watch. They gave it their all. I can't wait to come back at the next home game. That's what I know the women's soccer team is going to do. That's why I know all the other sports that are gonna do in the 2022-23 season. Jack, we're near our end of time together. I want to thank you for everything you're doing with the women's soccer team. I see the growth and the culture that you're establishing, along with a coaching staff that you have attached with everyone and all the players. I'm like, sometimes like when I'm talking, I feel a little bit speechless, because I'm like, all right, I've already said that high praise about the team, and I'm trying to find another word to describe the team, and I just find myself like biting my tongue. I'm like, I don't know what else there is to say.
Well,
because
very much. I hope that we can deliver that to match the words that are being spoken about us. That's our next objective.
And so, Jack, with that, I want to thank you for your time. Is there any last message you want to say to the Warriors listening at home before their season starts?
I thank you, Chase, for your support, and to the SID team for helping put us out there. And I really hope, if you've got a free night, please come and watch our team play. They play some great football, and they're a real bunch of misfits, but they're a great team to watch. So hopefully I'll see you out there.
All right. Thank you, Jack. And Warriors, if you're tuning in, our first official home match is against the number 8 team in the country, Westmont College. Is going to be on September 12th at 1 p.m. And we hope to see you all there. Thank you, Jack, for an amazing podcast. Hope to see you on again soon, but also, Warriors, follow along with the season, and also tune in for next week, as we will be talking about another coach who will be starting their fall season. And with that, I want to thank you. Hope you guys have a great afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you are listening to this podcast, and tune in next week, some more Westcliff Warrior action.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. As always, a shout out to our Dean of Athletics, Sean Harris, our baseball coach, David Shermett, who made this podcast possible, along with our man behind the scenes, Brandon Peterson, for his production. A huge thank you to our Westcliff family for making the podcast what it is each and every week. We'll be back next week, but until then, please drop by the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, for any other previous episodes that may pique your interest, along with leaving us a review. It really helps us get the word out about Warrior Athletics. We thank you for your support, and keep an eye out for the next episode.